Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and the other day I did a movie video on Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and I used the Vacchetta deck, to do the demonstration readings at the end of that video. And I commented in that video that I had at least 3 or 4 copies of the Vacchetta. And when I went through my playlist to link them in that, within the description area of the movie video, I realized I never compared all 4 of my Vacchettas, which kind of was an oversight. I don't know why I never did that. But there are, I have 4 copies or 4 different publications of the Vacchetta. And I thought today would be as good a day as any to rectify my oversight. Now, something that I'm not particularly good at, and I'm going to ask this of you in all sincerity. I'm not one to typically ask for subscribers or likes or anything like that, but this game isn't cheap, and although I can manage to purchase the decks, I do go without a lot of other things. I go without cute shoes, I go without jewelry, I go without a lot of things. And it would be helpful every now and then if you could throw me a bone and at least keep the algorithm happy so that I get, more, more showtime through YouTube. And also, I've been noticing that a few of you have been gifting me with super thanks, which I most sincerely appreciate. And now I have it set up through the help of one of my subscribers who was really sweet to buy me a coffee every now and then. So I am not opposed to being thanked for my contribution, which I think is considerable. I think I've probably taught more than a few people how to read tarot for free on this channel, and any gesture of appreciation from you would be greatly appreciated, even if it's just a thumbs up and a subscription. And I would like to keep this channel free, and just based on contributions. So, okay, now I did that within the first 2 minutes. Now here we are, and I think it's important, when you see a deck that you like, to be able to have an educated understanding of the cards before you put your hard-earned money down, right? So if I have at least 4 publications of a deck, and you want the deck, it might be helpful to you to see these 4 publications at least, to determine which one of these decks would most appeal to you to put your money down on. Now, some of them may be hard to get at this stage. So there's also that to keep in mind. So without further conversation, let me flip the camera. The publications from left to right are the Lo Scarabeo, which is the way the deck exists in its current form. So the deck apparently that is used for all of these publications is probably sourced from the same deck that this is sourced from. This one is from the Lo Scarabeo Anima Antiqua series. And this one is an uncolored deck. And as I mentioned, I think that these are either the basic plates. And it points out in this little book that this is the first modern deck that had all cards illustrated. And although it wasn't like the Rider-Waite-Smith where the cards necessarily had meaning, they were decorative, more decorative than portraying meaning. However, when you see some of these cards, you can't help but have an understanding of what the illustration might have meant. The second one I have is another Lo Scarabeo. It's called Tarot of the Master. The third is a Spanish production, which may be the most difficult one to find. Now, when I bought this deck a couple of years ago, it wasn't that it was a little expensive, but not ridiculous. It was maybe under $50. This one is by Julian M. White, published by Sirio. This box came within a larger packaging and really glossy and slick. And then there was a beautiful book, but it's written in Spanish. So for those of you who are buying it, the book is beautiful, but you probably need to speak Spanish in order to get the most out of it. And then the last one is the deck that I used for the film of review of Marilyn Monroe's Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. And this one was done by Meneghello. So let's this might be a long video. So I hope for those of you who are interested, I hope you hang in there for it. So we have Il Matto. Now in the original, we see that there's not a zero or anything in there. And we just have the basic etching or drawing. Now with the Lo Scarabeo, unfortunately, this one comes with words in different languages of what the card means or how you can identify the cards. And it's the most regrettable thing that they did. I don't know why they did that. I mean, one of the first things that you need to learn when you want to learn the cards is just to make it your business to know what it is that you're looking at, right? You shouldn't have to be reminded every time you use a deck what it is, right? It should be, information that you do on your own. So I don't really know what they were thinking. And here the color palette is kind of soft. Here with the Sirio, we have a much more vibrant. And here in the original, it's not easy to tell if that would be like flesh tone, that would be his derriere. It stands to reason that if your stockings are coming down, that your derriere would be showing. But none of these seem, well, they're pretty ambiguous. It doesn't really show. Okay, the next card is, they call it the Bagat. And in the indexes, they do identify it in the original card as the number 1. You'll notice that in the Sirio that the things on the box are reversed. Isn't that interesting? You see that? So I wonder what happened there, because the rest of the image isn't in reverse. Isn't that interesting? Oh, and the backs of all of them are different. And I don't know which back is genuine. So here for the Vacchetta in the Anima Antiqua series, we have this back. Tarot of the Master, we have this back. The Spanish publication by Julian M. White in Sirio, we have this back. And then in the Il Meneghello, we have this back. And if I had to guess which back was probably accurate, I guess I would say this one. But I don't know for sure. They may not know what the backs look like. The female Pope. And the Spanish one is much more rich in color. Do you have a preference so far? Please tell me. You know, I'm always interested to know what it is you guys like. It helps me. The Empress. And here, notice the pillow that we do see in the Noble, right? If you look at the Noble, you'll see underneath the area where the Empress is sitting. Pull it out right now, and you'll see something that looks like an abstraction of this. But this is probably what it was, like some kind of tufted and tasseled pillow. As a matter of fact, since I know that most of you won't do that, I'm going to pull the Noble myself to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so I use the Fleur Noir because I think it is probably, the Fleur Noir decks are probably a gold standard when it comes to clarifying yet retaining authenticity in a historic deck. And you see what I'm saying? This kind of thing that's going on here. Is probably the tuft of the pillow. That's my guess. And here we have the Emperor. So of course, when there is no color in, whatever's left over to print from, the plates, it's up to the publishing house to make their decision on how they're going to color it. Some might do it just based on personal preference. Some might do it based on some research and knowing what inks and what colors may have been available at that time, or any kind of written descriptions that might exist. I'm leaning toward the Il Meneghello for my preference. There's a slight difference in where they're looking in these two, which this one seems to be more different, or varies more than the Tarot of the Master. So this one seems to be odd man out with the expression on the face, which I think is interesting. Amor. So here we seem to have smudges on the card, which don't appear to be present on the plates and don't appear to be present on the Spanish nor the Il Meneghello. So I'm wondering if this was added for effect, because it doesn't seem to be present on their original. These were both done by the same publishing house. I may have to break this into 2 videos so that it's not going to be so long, because I'm not even halfway done the triumphs, the triumph cards yet, and I'm already at 15 minutes. Justice. Oops. Yeah, I do notice that the eyes in the Spanish version seem to differ from the others, whereas in the other decks, including the original, there seems to be, well, I guess there could be some ambiguity. It's hard to tell. But she seems to be more, when there's ambiguity in the face, it seems like the Spanish version has the subject looking right at us, whereas the other decks seem to more closely follow a sideways glance. Let's see if that's a thing throughout. And of course, one of the most obvious things that I didn't mention is the difference in language. Lo Scarabeo would have copied the Italian, I'm sure, since it's an Italian company. So we'd have le eremita, la eremita. The Spanish ermitaño. And Il Meneghello, of course, would have the Italian. Now there's a simplification. We see simplified tree matter in the original. And this Tarot of the Master, it seemed like they embellished what was on that tree a little bit. But then in the Spanish version, it's back to a very sparse tree. And then Il Meneghello seems to have put a little bit more on the tree, as did the second. The Wheel of Fortune. Now, I wish I had remembered this deck when it came to doing Masha's video challenge with her top tarot trumps, because I probably would have chosen this one, although maybe I did. Maybe I did have that. Maybe I did include this, but I can't be sure. But I probably would have chosen it had I thought of it. And again, we seem to have this indicator of wear and tear on the cards, which does not seem to appear on the the original, nor on either of the other recreations. Oh my goodness. L'impeso. Now in the Spanish version, he seems to be looking more at us, doesn't he? So it seems that the Spanish version, where it differs the most from the others, is the eyes and the glances. Again, with what might be artificial smudging. This is a lovely temperance. I'll have to try to remember this for the next top tarot trumps, and most certainly this one will be in the top tarot trumps with the explanation and story behind it. So if you have any interest in knowing more about this image, I'll be discussing it when we get to this one in Masha's top tarot trumps for sure. Such a cool image. Okay, the Tower. An impaled figure. Ooh. I kind of like the Sirio one of these four, or of the three colored, because I do like the dark sky, the umbre sky. I do like that a lot. And I like it here as well. Diana for the moon. With the crab and the hunting dog. Yeah, I'm not so oh, I see. They were trying to make that look like the full moon. Whereas here, they let it be a crescent with the sky coming through. Interesting. But it does look like it was probably supposed to be a full moon like that. What did Il Meneghello do? Yeah, well, it's hard to tell because their background is the same color. So it's not clear. But I kind of like the idea of showing the moon in the various stages of crescent, gibbous, and then full. And we're winding down with the last few cards. We have Apollo for the sun. here we see a more beautiful face in the Spanish. Which does sort of seem more aligned with that one, doesn't it? Now, interestingly, where there is damage to the card, or where there is, like, you know, smudging to the facsimile deck, we don't have it on the, they don't have it here. They have a little bit down here. That's interesting. But if you look at the face of the original and you compare it to the others, in this instance, the Spanish one is more similar. I think, anyway. Justice. Judgment. Oh, thank goodness. I was thinking, wow, they really look different. Here we are. When you can see the addition of color and the use of color really makes a difference, doesn't it? In how something looks. And, you know, color is a very important feature in art. Here we have, you know, the illusion of perhaps snow on mountains. That we don't see on the other cards. Let's look at the faces. There's a glancing down. And last but not least is the World card, Il Mundo. Okay, now we're already at 28 minutes, so I will end this one now, but I'll continue with the pip cards, and I'll just do it in a new video. So I hope you have enjoyed seeing these cards and comparing all four that I have. I don't know how many other versions there are of this particular deck. These are just the ones that I have. I don't know how many are still available. I don't know what they may cost. I don't typically concern myself with that. I'm usually very unaware of what's out of print. You know, I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. I don't buy decks based on that. I buy decks based on if I like them or not. And sometimes I get lucky and I get them before they go out, you know. But, you know, if I like something well enough, and even if it is out of print, I might be motivated to save my hard-earned money to buy it. But a lot of times, once something is out of print, if it's out of my realm of possibilities, I just... Oh, that was my husband. I apologize for that. If it's out of my realm of possibility, I don't get it. But fortunately for me, because I've been buying for such a long period of time, I was able to get my hands on things before they became obsolete. Oh, well, friends, until next time, peace, love, and Bobby Sherman. Those of you who are old enough to know what I'm talking about, you might get a kick out of that. Bye.